You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers, so let's get started with Beer Cheese Benny.
Hey, Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny. I know I called yesterday about the Trace Mack pick, but I'm not sure if I ever gave my thoughts on the Jager Burton pick. I think that's a great pick, and the reason being is because he's a true center, I think. I mean, he played like every game at center for Kentucky and didn't miss a game. And I think they were saying, like, I think when I was watching, when we drafted him, they said on the screen that he hadn't given up a sack in 413 snaps. I mean, that's pretty damn good, man. I'll be honest. So I think this is good. You know, we can get him right in there, pretty much. Obviously, we have Ryan at center. I think, you know, they're going to go with the more experienced guy, obviously, but I mean, I could see it not too far after the beginning of the season where this guy just kind of comes in and they're center, man. And we keep doing it because you know what we do. We always shift around that old line. So, I mean, I don't know, man. But it's great. And I saw we got Deny Jackson. I don't really know about that one. I guess it doesn't really matter when it's a 6th-round pick. I mean, shoot, what was it? Micah Robinson, the guy we got in the 7th? He was just gone, like, immediately, so I guess it's just kind of a guy. Deny Jackson might be just kind of a guy that we pick up, and it's just kind of like a gamble. I mean, the whole draft is a gamble, but, like, this is like a super gamble. Like, oh, maybe he'll work out. Maybe he'll be good for us, like, for depth. But, yeah, other than that, I think this is a home run draft by Gute. This is one of his best drafts, honestly. It's the first time, really. It's such a needed change, refreshing change of just drafting what we need, you know, but also keeping in mind, you know, best available and all of that. I think it's just, man, really refreshing. I like this, man. This gets me super excited for the future.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how they do. I'm super hopeful. You know, I would love it if Burton could win that job. Obviously, I can't assume it, you know. Sean Ryan's a 3rd-round pick. Not that that's great for us, but, you know, he's an earlier pick. So the assuming that the guy that's a later draft pick is going to be better in a pretty weak draft class is a bit of a leap, but we can hope. But yeah, overall, very, very happy with it. We'll see how everything pans out. It's rough. It's rough when you don't have a 1st-round pick. But the benefit is the Packers are not as needy as a lot of other teams are. I think they're going to be an all right football team no matter what. I think Cisse is going to be a starter. I think we got a new kicker. We've at least got offensive line depth. We've got some corner depth and some pass rush depth. And, you know, beyond that, we'll see how she goes. Batman, what's going on?
Hello, Ryan, Batman. After the draft, Packers draft, almost phenomenal, but that was pretty dang good, man. Happy with all of it. Like when I thought of the kicker, the first thing that came to mind for me was the reason we lost the game against the Bears was because of our kicker, and their kicker being fucking spot on. Excuse my language, sorry. So I think they addressed the need to beat the division winners, I guess you can call it, right? Like we always want to win our division first. That's the priority, because if you don't, then we're going to be a wild card. the way we have been the last couple of times, so we need to win our division. And the Bears had a terrible draft. I'm so happy that they did what they did. Like, their first pick, okay, that's fine. They took defense. But they don't wait. They wait until, the 6th round to get their actual need versus the Packers, addressing it immediately and attacking it.
Well, kind of. I mean, their edge, their pass rush is one of the worst in football. And even if you like Sweat, he's 30-something years old. He's on the way out. So that is a massive need going after edge. Defensive tackle is also in that group of trying to find a defensive tackle that can help you because their defensive tackle group is putrid. They got one defensive tackle at the very back of the draft, and I think 0 edge rushers. I might have that backwards or twisted in some way, but it's something to that effect. So they kind of addressed one of the needs later, but they kind of just didn't address one at all. And I've given Poles credit for the fact that he doesn't reach for need. I think that is a desirable quality, but at the very least, what I'm laughing at is the fact that the board, I guess, didn't seem to line up to give them what they need to be a much more successful team.
Early, they got a 3rd tight end, which apparently is going to pancake our people into whatever is a comment on Twitter. But ultimately, Ben Johnson got his shiny toys for a shiny offense that's never going to win a championship, just like in Detroit. Mm-hmm. So the Bears have inherited Detroit's not winning anything ever philosophy. It's awesome. I love it. Caleb sucks. Batman out.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that offensive line takes a pretty big step back because, Caleb did take a step forward with a massively improved offensive line. A lot of it had to do with the center. They've got a decent left guard that is getting quite up there in age. And then a right guard who played by far the best football he's ever played in his entire life. And maybe it stays that way. But more than likely, it was just one of those things where everything clicked. He had an incredibly good center next to him that helped him, a very good right tackle next to him. So he was sandwiched in between these guys. Now he's going to be working with a rookie that hopefully is not super great. We'll see. And if the right guard gets worse, the center drops off dramatically because of the downgrade in player. The left guard situation, if nothing else, is a year older. It's a pretty big shit, and I don't even know exactly what the plan is at left tackle at this point. I don't think they really fully address that, but maybe they're comfortable with the situation as it is. I don't know. But if that offensive line takes a step back, I mean, Caleb under pressure, I know his escapability is good, but not giving him a lot of time and a lot of space causes him to be not a very good quarterback, as opposed to he has a ton of time. And I know he can make moves on the run and all that, but you can see, again, you can see it. You can see the massive improvement in Caleb Williams when he got a massively improved offensive line. And again, I do think that was somewhat fluky, and we'll see if they're able to maintain that. That's the problem with building through free agency, is it's not really long-term. It's not maintainable, and it's already falling apart. So, is what it is. Build through free agency, and that's what happens for you. Beer cheese.
Hey Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny, listening to Packernet After Dark. Garrett from Southern Illinois. He mentioned he feels uncomfortable using the term jag-off now that we have Jager. I said Jager because I think that would just be so much better, but like Jager bombs.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Anyways, but you got to think about it like this, Garrett. Jager is going to make nose tackles look like jag-offs. You know what I mean? Because they're just going to look stupid. Because he's going to block them. And, they're not going to be able to do anything. They're going to look like pansies. Like, that nose tackle's a jag-off against Jager. Anyways, that's all I got, man. Go Pack, go. Man, got a good defense, I feel like, now. And, yeah, dude, let's freaking go, man. I'm excited for this season, especially since the Brewers freaking suck, so don't really care about them anymore. I know it's early in the season for them, things could turn around, but they probably won't. So, getting ready for this football season. Yeah, dude, I found out my boss is a Jets fan. I'm like, oh, yeah, that sucks. He's like on New York sports, like Jets, Mets, Knicks. What a terrible life he lives. But, yeah, I told him, I'm like, man, it really sucks that you couldn't experience the good side of Rodgers like I did. What a nightmare. But I got a little cough here, man. Freaking sucks. Anyways, go Pack, go. And take the Brewers with you.
Once again, by the time that call ended, I forgot what we were talking about. Let me think here. Sorry about your cough. Sorry about the Brewers. I didn't know baseball was even a thing. Oh yeah, the Jag thing. I was trying to think in terms of like what you could say, like you just got jagged, and then I thought, no, that's not good. Shouldn't do that. Instead of a pancake, he got jagged. Never mind. Anywho, let's take a break. We got Daniel from California on the other side.
Hey, Daniel from California. After marinating for a few days on this draft, I absolutely love it.
Good.
I didn't even I just wanted to take a couple days. Like, was it really like as solid as it was? I love the corner we took. Listening to how he talks, he's got Stephon Gilmore as his personal mentor. Mm-hmm. Like they just go back and forth every day talking about football. Says they see the game the same way. Well, say, well, that's a pretty good way to see football. And he's 20. I love it. You got McClellan. Him, I think there's a lot of upside. Obviously, like if he doesn't develop as a pass rusher, like I'm okay with him just being an amazing run defender because it seems like even if he gets stood up or anything like that, he can't be moved. That's the nice part about it. So I really like that. DDS, Deny Dennis Sutton. Like I don't know why this guy doesn't get hyped to be a first round pick. Because you see athletic score, he's the most athletic guy, okay? And then production score, he was the 6th most productive edge rusher. I don't know if it's just he didn't get the attention because he played with Abdul Carter last year or what. Or it just doesn't make sense. He's got the production and he's got the athleticism. So maybe I'm not going to say I believe he had 8 sacks or 7 sacks. I'm not going to say that's not a lot because that's a good amount of sacks. Yes, it's not 10 to 15, but they don't play that many games in college football every year. That's decent. And with the athleticism and going with Marcus Covington or I don't know, whatever his first name. But with that, he can have a lot of potential. Jager Burton. Everybody complains, can we stop drafting tackles to play guard? It's well, we got a guy that's a true interior guy that can play all 3 spots. It's everybody's dream was hit. It's the people that hate McManus, it's you got a kicker. I know we just had a bunch of guys walk out the door, right? But you look at the build of this team, we have 4 tackles on this roster right now, right? I know that we have a tackle playing right guard, but he's also in the tackle rotation. He didn't play bad last year. I'm drawing blank right now. Anthony Belton, right? He can also play tackle. So you got 4 tackles. You got 3 to 4 guys mixing in at guard, and then
Part 2.
Yeah, just to round it out, it's just whatever you thought you needed in this draft, the only people that didn't get help is tight end and running back, and it's not hard to find a running back that can contribute. They love Chris Brooks. We have Musgrave, who's a helpful extra tight end, And we have 2 or 3 guys floating around the league that are solid wide tight ends that we could bring in, but just for what we had in this draft, and I'm not saying 8 picks isn't a lot of picks. We don't have that many roster spots. Just we lost like it was a 4 guys that are meaningful contributors. Doesn't mean we don't. Very different. Shows where.
All right, I'm gonna just stop it there because you're breaking up really bad. But yeah, again, for the billionth time, you can't get everything. You want to get a tight end, cool. Who do we get rid of? Do we get rid of the second corner? Do we get rid of the kicker? And then, again, at that point, we're talking 6th, 7th round. So we're not talking about somebody that's going to be more than likely some dynamite player. I'm not as worried about it. I mean, I see running back as something you want to address. It's not something you necessarily need to address. I mean, you get to a certain level of, yes, you need to address it, then you need to address everything, and it's impossible. So there needs to be some realistic standard set when you have a top running back as well as a early round pick that's coming off of injury that we haven't seen, that by all accounts should be at least a good enough backup running back. And then you have Brooks as your number 3. I know that a lot of people are of the opinion that the guy that's been hurt a lot is never going to be healthy, but we don't know that. We don't really have any reason other than, just what has happened being the thing that we think will continue to happen. But as far as the list of needs, we've got 3 running backs. So, I mean, we have more than that, but we have 3 right now that are sort of the starting guys that we feel comfortable with.
Hey, Baghdadi, it's Garrett from Southern Illinois. The draft is over. It's Manic Monday, and it's time to get these guys in. Hope to hear some great background stories on some of these guys. My takeaway from this weekend is that this draft class was viewed as being a lesser ideal draft than most, but I think Gute showed that sometimes less is more by just going for quality instead of quantity.
Well, that's the hope and the risk, right? I guess you could say that's the gamble that he took, because generally you want to go the opposite direction, but it does make sense if we are saying that it is a lesser quality draft, that you want to try to find the quality, but the risk is you have to actually be able to find it. And, if these are not hits, that was not a good decision. And we should have just been scattershot in this thing. But, again, we will find out in time whether this was the right trade-off.
I had called in earlier a day or so ago saying I was not thrilled about the McClellan pick, and that I thought he had reached. And the reason I give that opinion is that I thought that he would still be there, viewing who was still on the board and how guys had fallen. Excuse me. That I thought he would still be there in the 3rd. It remains to be seen. I think the guy is a quality defensive lineman, but we shall see. He was the only one that it wasn't one of my draft favorites.
Yeah.
So you always have your favorite and your least favorite, and he was my least favorite.
Okay.
I hope he proves me wrong. So, but I had thought and predicted the first 4 rounds, or the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounds, I'm sorry, accurately to the position, because I figured this was going to be a needs-type based draft, and I am over the top on DDS. I think this guy has got the traits to be special, and for him to fall to the 4th is insane. I'm surprised Gute didn't. He probably even maybe tried to trade up to get him, but he didn't.
Yeah, we hear that a lot with guys where, they wanted to get them a little bit earlier, but, it's kind of, they had to choose between the two. And, in that case, and it does tell you something about at least what they think of McClellan. Sometimes it comes down to, and I forget who it was. I want to say it was like last year or something, but flat out said, you know, it was between these two, and we just felt like such and such had a lesser chance of being there in the next round, so we pulled the trigger on them. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt that the Packers would have been willing to take him in that spot, which, again, apparently would have been the wrong thing to do. But, yeah, it's exciting when they're able to get a guy like that. And I just like, and this is obviously always going to happen, but I like when, you know, obviously for me, none of these guys were my guys. Cisse, I was kind of on. McClellan, I didn't really have an opinion on. I can kind of get behind their rationale a little bit. Although, you know, well, whatever. We don't need to get into it. It doesn't matter. But I like to see how excited they are about these guys. That gets me excited.
He's probably really glad he didn't now that it fell to him.
Right.
This guy was projected to go in the second by some boards, and you know that Micah Parsons is going to take him under his wing. And but overall, then, you know, getting another defensive back and then getting a kicker, which none of us probably thought that was going to happen. All I can say is go, Smack, go.
Go, Smack. Oh, that's good. You guys are good, man. You guys, you got them all, you know. That's a t-shirt. You guys you've gifted me like 50 t-shirts so far. It's a great t-shirt. Go, Smack, go.
Hi, this is Joe Schroeder.
What's up, dude?
Texas. So that draft was great, and yeah, I would argue that, you know, we not only took positions of need, but the best players available at that time, and like you could argue, you know, maybe we should have taken Gerard McCoy or
Sure.
whatever his name is. But, I mean, those medicals seem like very scary for most of the teams, and you know, the Raiders were just like, F it, we'll take them.
Yeah, I mean, they're almost borderline opposite when you think about it in terms of, you know, one guy is the high upside. You know, we could probably, assuming he is healthy, he can come in and just be dominant, but we're nervous about his long-term ability. Whereas we drafted the guy with all the traits that, you know, there's some concern, can he start today? But he's the high upside guy that if you get him locked in, he's going to be a freaking stud. So they're polar opposites. And knowing the Packers, if you were to just pose that to Packer fans and say, which one is Gutekunst going to take? We know which one he's going to take.
And, you know, a younger corner is kind of what we needed. And then...
Yeah, I mean, he and good, by the way, he wants this guy here for 10 years. You know, I mean, it's everything to some degree is cost benefit. Nobody is a guarantee. Nobody is a sure thing. But, you know, when they hit, how big of a hit is it? You know, if this guy's if somebody's a hit, but they're 25, that's great, but they can only be beneficial for a limited period of time. Whereas a guy that's 20, it just becomes a bigger hit. So you're just kind of betting on individual things that if it works, it kind of multiplies how beneficial it is.
McClellan seems like a good player, like watching some of his highlights, and then Deny Dennis Sutton seems like a pretty good player as well. He's kind of like a Rashawn Gary replacement, which is funny because it's like a fourth round replacement for him, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then what is the center is fine, and then the second corner is nice, and he seems like he fought for a spot back after being benched, so, you know, maybe he has that fire under him. And then, of course, you know, Smack, that's a great name for a kicker.
Yep.
And then, I don't know if you got to watch any of, like, the undrafted free agents, but I don't know how to say his first name, but Mr. Kelly seems like a great pass rusher and seems kind of like another, like, I don't know what his RAS was. I don't know if he tested or anything, but he seems like a great pass rusher as well.
Nijalik
now I know
or
like
something?
both of them are probably like a little stiff or something, but like somebody said that like Deny Dennis Sutton didn't even have like other pass rush moves and power moves, but like maybe because I just watched the highlights so far, but like he had like the spin move, the swim move, and all that. I was like, what? Anyways, I'm happy. Most of us are happy with this draft, and hopefully, do you think like this stops us from finding more free agents, separate like street free agents, or do you think Gute is just, do you think it stops us, or do you think we still need to find a street free agent in any of the positions of real need? All right, go back up.
Yeah, that's definitely on my list to look at. We'll do that. I don't know. It's not tomorrow because that's already recorded. But probably in a couple days, I'm going to pull out that list. It's a tough thing because, well, first of all, nothing's happened so far. You would think at this point you kind of know, but we have a full, as far as I know, we have a full roster. We have a full 91 man roster right now. So, we'd have to identify something that we didn't really address. So you could say running back, but again, I don't think that they necessarily agree. You could say maybe tight end, possibly, but it's a question of how comfortable are you / what are we actually getting in for? So, for example, with tight end, the problem is we have a short-term solution. We have a guy right now that's kind of competing for his job for one last time, and that's Musgrave. So we don't need a guy to come in and replace Musgrave for 1 year while he's here. That doesn't make any sense. So tight end doesn't super make sense to me. Running back, I don't really think that makes sense, especially since we've got a guy that we want to see what he can do, and he's been hampered by injury, and now what? We're going to bury him down the depth chart, not give him an opportunity? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Offensive line, you would mostly just be looking at depth, and we have a ton of guys that they got as UDFAs outside of the guy that we drafted. So you'd have to find somebody that you really like, but also really like as just a backup. I don't know that guy's out there. Maybe a DT. If you want, like if you wanted that 340-pound guy, if he's out there, maybe just go get him. And McClellan, it's all rotational on the defensive line. Possibly edge, especially for the short-term nature of the situation that we're in. Maybe that could make sense. Probably not corner. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tough, and I would guess it's tough to say. They would have to be the right fit, and these are very narrow windows to squeeze into. All right, let's take our final break. We'll be back with JD from Wisco.
Hey, what's up, Ryan? JD. How you doing, man?
What's up,
Hope
dude?
you're having a good day. Well, draft is over, and I'm actually pretty happy with the draft. I think that this is one of those rare drafts where we picked up I think most of the needs that we had kind of in order. So I don't really have much to complain about. I think that this is one of those wait and see things. It's always a wait and see thing, but I think a lot of people tend to complain about this, that, or the other thing, and we should have done this, we should have got that, whatever. But I think, 99% this is, okay, we got the guys. Let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Really, really excited about Cisse. He was one of my top guys in this draft, especially at the corner position. He's a physical guy. I really like the way he plays. So I'm really hoping that there's some great stuff from him. I'm really excited about Burton. We need a center. I hope he's that guy. I really, really do. Fingers, toes crossed. And I'm excited about Smack, man. Like, how cool is that? We have a kicker named Smack from Florida. That's great. The guy's a stud. we should be excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm totally excited about that. Anyway, I can't wait, man. This is going to be great. So anyway, just wanted to chime in. Hope you have a good day. Talk to you later, man.
Appreciate the call. No, I'm with you. I think, it's not to say that you can't have some negative whatever, but I think at most we're kind of just talking about like, I'm a little nervous about X, Y, and Z, or I would have probably done things a little bit different here or here, but like you said, we'll see. We will see how it goes. And that's about as strong of a stance as you can probably have on it. And otherwise, like you said, it's just wait and see. So, but yeah, otherwise, again, I wouldn't have gone in this direction here or here or here necessarily with that player, but I love the positional pick and I'm excited about it. And if it works, we are in a beautiful situation. Aaron, what's going on?
Hey, Ryan, this is Aaron. Been a minute. So I really like the draft. I'm very happy with how everything went. I didn't honestly know about much of the players that we drafted, but hey, you know what? We got a bunch of players, and we got our freaking kicker, Trey Smack. But anyways, that's not the point of my call. The point of my call is to talk about an issue that's been going on for years, how the fans like to do the wave when the Packers are on offense, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have now just fell into our hands the perfect way to deal with that. So
smack them.
when Brandon Cisse makes a play, right? That's obviously going to be when they're on defense. So what the announcers can do over the loudspeaker in the stadium is be like, "What does the C say?" The C. What does the C say?
Right.
And then be like, what does the C say? Wave! Or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the fans can start doing the wave for Brandon Cisse.
I like that.
What does the C say? Anywho, that's
you
my
guys
thought
are clever,
on that. Because just might as well kill two birds with one stone. Give the guy his own chant to start off with, and get pumped for the season. But yeah, no, I love this draft. The more I'm seeing about Brandon Cisse, the more I'm seeing about Chris McClellan, the more I'm seeing about Deny Dennis Sutton. I think and everyone else, I am so excited. And and we got Josh Jacobs' brother.
Yeah.
In the
I really
UDFA
hope that works
as
out.
a tryout. But no, the more I actually look into these guys, this is how it always goes for me. Is why I don't fall in love with players before the draft is that we never take them to begin with. The guys that I like, except for this year, Trey Smack, and we never take them. And so I found that the best way to do it is just accept that, and once they become Packers, then just get really hyped about them. And oh boy, am I. Anywho, I'm coming up on 3 minutes, I think. It's raining. It's a beautiful day. I'm one of those weirdos that likes the rain.
Me too.
Anywho, I'm going to go now because there's no reason for me to be on the phone anymore. Bye.
Yeah, I think I do have some issues with attention deficit disorder or something. I'm not sure. Never been diagnosed. Don't really super care. I just think that it's a thing because do whatever you want, but whatever you guys trail off, I'm totally lost. I don't know what's going on anymore. I forgot the entire call. The only thing I know is, I got to go. I'm talking and I don't know what's going on. And I got it. I get it. It's weird with the phone call thing and everything. I'm just telling you, I'm lost. The wave thing is brilliant though. Very, very, very creative, and I think we should do it.
Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico.
Yo.
I was just trying to figure out this guy's name. Donnie, this Dennis Sutton guy, the guy out of Penn State. So I'm not even sure if Dennis Sutton is his last name or Sutton is his last name and his first name is Danny Dennis or Donnie Dooney, whatever. I just decided we were going to call him the dentist. So just
to keep the confusion down, everybody.
Thank you.
We're going to refer to him as the dentist because it's DDS. Is that a dentist or am I a freaking moron? I think that's a dentist, right? DDS. Anyways, and it's a dentist in the middle. So if he'll bust out the old hair lip, I got Denny dentist or something. So anyways, he's just a dentist. Okay.
Got it.
From now on.
All right. No, that's fair.
For me, anyways. If you guys want to refer to him as something nobody knows how to pronounce, we can do that. But I'm going with the dentist. All right, then. Rico out. Have a great day.
All right. Dentist. Got it. Next.
Howdy, this is Jager from Texas. And it looks like the first round had less viewers than last year's first round. So suck it, Pittsburgh. Green Bay's back. All right, that's all I got. Go Packer.
Didn't know that. Didn't hear that. But yeah,
they
that's,
had like 13.2 million viewers during the first round this year. 13.6 million viewers during the first round last year. If you wanted to know stats. All right, bye.
And I'm probably biased, especially since we were there and everything, but there felt like something pretty magical. And people that were covering the draft even said it. So I don't think it's just a bias thing. There was sort of a magic in the air and the passion of the people that were there. And it was so super crowded and super loud and super wild. And it was a great environment. And I think even for like Bears, Lions, and Vikings fans, I think they had a good time. I think it was an awesome. Sometimes they're just awesome drafts. I think Chicago held a really good draft. I've said that. Tennessee was maybe the best draft, possibly, depending on, the criteria or whatever. There's some very, very good ones. Detroit was very, very bad. I'm not saying Pittsburgh was bad, but I don't think there was anything necessarily interesting about it. It was just happened to be where the draft was hosted. So, yeah, the Wisconsin, the Green Bay, the Packers, that draft was number one. Mark Murphy and everybody else that worked on that did an incredible job, especially since the expectations were so shockingly low. To come in and deliver one of the best draft experiences that the NFL has ever held is pretty special. All right, let's do one more. We got TJ from Alabama.
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama.
What's up, dude?
Checking in after the draft. I was also listening to you talking about the consensus board. And you didn't go into a rant, but obviously you could have. Just get you started, I'm sure. Because, consensus board for entertainment purposes only, perfectly fine. Just like draft grades. Perfectly fine for entertainment purposes only.
Don't take it too seriously.
But, the draft board, it's like, if you have one person, whether it's a podcaster or an announcer or whatever, somebody who is not connected to an actual NFL draft board, and you listen to them, you say, that's an opinion. It's not worth anything, but it's an opinion. Right. Now you get a bunch of those people together. None of them still have any connections to an actual NFL draft board.
Right.
So, 100 zeros plus each other is still a zero. So the consensus board is kind of useless. I mean, it's interesting. It could be fun, but from an NFL draft standpoint, it's kind of useless. And we know it's useless because at the beginning of the process, they got the draft boards. And then over time, this person is moving up the draft board, which, of course, that person didn't move up squat. It's just the draft board kind of catching up a little bit with what they hear from this, that, or the other person. So, yada, yada. So, good rant, or not a rant, but good point. Overall, happy with the draft. I got nothing to add what everybody else has said. I'm very content. Don't know if we have any home run hits, but very content. So good there. And then I will say, Jagoff has been coming at Jagoff of the week, Jagoff of the call, Jagoff caller, yada, yada, yada. And I've been, getting into it a little bit.
I think we know who the Jagoff of the week would be this week, and that's Mr. Jager, right? It's got to be.
So, literally, I'm at a meeting at work, and I'm going to throw it out there, thinking that's clever, because in Alabama, Jagoff is really not really a thing. So I was going to, be kind of, just kind of whatever, and talking about the Jagoffs back there or stuff like that, just kind of being cute. But for whatever reason in my head, I didn't say Jag, and I used the word Jack.
Yep.
So I'm going to caution everybody. When you're using the term jagoff, if you're using it in public, make sure you don't say jack, because it comes off in a completely different concept that I would not recommend for anybody.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, Ryan. Thanks. Go back, go.
No, I get that. You got to be very, very careful. In fact, even jag can be dangerous. I almost, I think in this very show today, I think, trying to think of, how we could use that creatively. And it's like, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound super great. So we probably just shouldn't say that. But yeah, and as far as the consensus board, I'll just add one other thing to it. The consensus board is a bunch of people that we don't necessarily care about or respect, with the exception of maybe a couple. And so it's polluted with a bunch of opinions from people that we don't really value. But the people that we do value are people that kind of, they're very respected. They know their stuff, whatever. If NFL scouts and GMs decided to all leave their job and create their own big boards, they would be the most respected people, right? If Brian Gutekunst decided, I'm going to release my, he's going to retire and do like a Bob McGinn thing. He's got his sources and everything, but he also does his own scouting. His roots are from scouting, and he wants to kind of get back to that. And so he's going to scout, and he's going to do it for fun, and he's going to create his own big board. That would be the number one most valuable big board for everybody. Because he's a freaking former scout that worked his way. He was such a good scout, he worked his way all the way up to GM. So the fact that we judge the guys who are better based on the guys who are worse is weird. And sometimes it's going to pan out that the guys who are better make the wrong decisions and the other guys were correct. That will happen on occasion. But it's just kind of a weird demeanor to have. So I think the consensus board does have, statistical value. We've seen it. But don't take it so seriously. It's not the be-all, end-all. It's just kind of a reference point. And, again, it's no different than saying, like, I'm nervous because he was a little bit such and such on the consensus board, is like saying, he's 25 and that makes me nervous, or he's a defensive tackle that's a little undersized, or his college production wasn't very good, or it's like any one of these things that you could call somewhat of a flag. If it was a reach on the consensus board, that is a red flag. Okay, fine. All these guys have red flags. Every single one of them has some level of red flag. That's just one of them. So, let's not get too freaked out about it. Everything's going to be all right. Okay, I'm going now. I'm leaving. You all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.